Well, good morning, everyone, and happy Memorial Day. As I said earlier, I was trying to get down there on the water on this Memorial Day, but alas, I am here at work, and I need a little lighting because it is, about 5:10 or so here in the morning. So instead, we are live out here in the Fox 31 parking lot, but I've pulled the Department of Natural Resources out. Scott Carroll is here with me, and Scott, you have been out on the water this weekend. How are things going out there?
So far, it's going really well, and this is, always the kickoff weekend to the summer, and it's going really well. So far, we haven't had any major reportable accidents or anything yet, so we still got our fingers crossed. We got one more day to get through.
Absolutely. We don't want to jinx it for sure, but perhaps you didn't get a chance to get out there on the water this weekend. For the rest of the summer, there are a few new things people should know about for this summer season.
Yeah, and first of all, the most important thing is always that this is the kickoff to the summer. This is a lot of time, will be the first time that some people bring their vessel out for the first time in the summer. So there's a lot of things you need to start looking at. You need to always inspect your vessel to make sure it's going to function properly on the water before you get out on the water, before you launch that thing out. You need to make sure first it's going to float. You need to make sure you've got the appropriate safety gear with you as well. And there's other things too. Environmental conditions are always important for this first weekend. A lot of people have not been on their respective lake or their river yet, so they haven't been there since last summer. So some things may have changed. So it's always good to always pay attention to water levels, the routes of travel that you plan on going.
Sure.
If things have changed, if debris has shown up in the waterways since last year, something that you weren't familiar with. Sandbars tend to change over the years, so there's things you need to really watch out for on this first weekend.
Now, when it comes to just driving a vessel, do you need a boater's license here in Georgia?
No, we don't require a boater's license as of yet. There are some things that are in the works for the upcoming years. But we do offer safety courses for younger adults who are just now getting into boating and learning. There are horsepower restrictions on some of those young boaters in which they can boat. And all this information can be found at our website at goboatgeorgia.com.
Absolutely. Talking, of course, about boats, how about jet skis? They can be a lot of fun, but also very dangerous.
Yeah, personal watercraft or jet skis, the key thing about those is they're designed for you to fall off of them occasionally. Most vessels are designed for you to stay within the confinements of that vessel, but personal watercraft and jet skis, they're designed for you to fall off because it's part of the actual fun of the watercraft itself is sometimes you fall off. So, they can be dangerous. You need to take an operator's course if you haven't become familiar with them. Really read through the manuals and learn what that thing's capable of before you just take off on it.
And again, for other boat drivers, definitely be on the lookout for those boaters or personal watercraft drivers who might be falling off.
Right, and sometimes we have a lot of vessels in some very confined areas. Personal watercraft entering in and out of channels and waterways, small lakes and stuff like that. So everybody has to be, we call it, you need to have a head on a swivel. You need to always be looking 360 degrees because we don't have lanes out there.
Yeah.
There's no lanes, there's no dotted line, there's no solid line, there's no stop signs, there's no yield signs.
Yeah.
You have to learn what's called the rules of the road and be able to give way to a certain vessel or stand on and remain and hold your ground.
Sure. Now, it is a nice 3-day weekend. Some people could be out there enjoying the waterways, soaking up some sun, and drinking and boating. New laws that go into effect with that.
Yeah, we've had some changes this year. We've had some changes in the law and some changes that have come from the direct results of some fatal accidents that we've had on other lakes around Georgia. The limits have changed. They've changed from a .10 to a .08 on your BAC limit, which is your blood alcohol content. Sure. So that's lowered a little bit, and that's going to affect some boaters this summer. But we're gonna work our way through it and get through the changes as best we can, and we're gonna do our job. We're gonna do what we're required to do.
Absolutely. Well, again, everyone, we want to make sure that you have a fun and safe Memorial Day weekend along with the rest of your summer. We've got some more safety tips coming up later, live here on Good Day a little bit later. First, Chris, over to you. Welcome back to Good Day, everyone. We're live out here in the Fox 31 parking lot talking all about boating safety. I'm just trying to get out on the water on this Memorial Day weekend. But life-saving, life jackets, most important, do need to have them on the boats for all riders.
Yes, probably the most important tool that you're going to find on your vessel is the wearable type life jacket. Every vessel is required to have a wearable type life jacket for every person on board. And depending on the amount of people that can be on board the vessel is going to depend on how many you can have, how many you can operate.
Now we've got a couple different types here that you've brought this morning. First up, this is it's a pretty little one.
Yeah, this is what's called a Type 5. hybrid. This is probably the latest and greatest of the life jackets, the family of life jackets these days. The thing that's unique about this life jacket is it has an automatic switch, and it works off of a CO2 cartridge inside of it.
Oh, how neat.
And as you can see, it doesn't look like it would float or hold you up or anything.
No, not at all.
Once this life jacket gets wet, you see here this unit right here has an automatic switch. Once it gets wet and soaks up water, this thing will inflate, or it'll trigger the CO2 cartridge. This thing will inflate and blow up like a big balloon, and it happens really rapid, really fast. By the time you enter the water, there's a salt tablet in here that dissolves and triggers that switch and expands on you. The key thing about this type of life jacket, if you're going to choose to have this life jacket on board your vessel, it must be worn at all times.
Yes.
The other type jackets that I've brought here today, the vest style, those can be stored or stowed in a compartment or somewhere that's readily accessible. But these style, if you choose to use this as a personal flotation device on your vessel, it has to be worn at all times.
But again, something that would be great about this is it's not the big and bulky ones like the vest.
This is comfortable. It's freedom of movement. It's great for hot temperatures. There's no bulk involved with it. But again, it is a mechanical device. It's man-made. You have to expect this thing to function properly. They have to be maintained. They have to be taken care of, and you have to occasionally check and make sure the systems inside of it, the switches are functioning properly to make sure this thing is working.
And probably would not recommend that for, say, a kayaker, a canoer, someone who's going out tubing.
If you anticipate getting wet, you're not going to want to wear these. This is more for your fishermen, for your professional folks, law enforcement folks on the water that don't actually intend to get wet but need that freedom of movement, that range of movement to be able to function on board a vessel.
Absolutely. Going safety first. Absolutely.
Some of the other style, this is your more common or your more practical vest or jacket style. It has buoyancy or flotation all in the sides of it here. It has compartments for storage for fishing. There's pockets here that you can store things. I've always got a tube of sunscreen. That's always important out on the waters, to have some sunscreen and watch out for those environmental conditions.
We're running out of time, so I want to get to this last one real quick. Probably the most common.
This is the classic. This is a Type 2. This is the one that you're going to see the most. This is actually one of the better flotation devices that you'll find on a vessel due to this right here. This is where your head goes through this hole. The strap goes around your back. This piece right here is designed to float your head. Should you be expelled from a vessel and become unconscious, this jacket here is actually designed to keep your head and your face out of the water so you don't breathe in any water. The information is always going to be on inside of them. You need what's called a Coast Guard approval label. It's right here. It tells you who it's for, adults and their weight. If it's not approved by the Coast Guard and does not have a label inside indicating that, then it's not sufficient on board a vessel. Some jackets have what's called a flotation aid label inside of them. If it does not say it's approved by the Coast Guard, it's not sufficient. So you got to make sure that Coast Guard approval label is on there.
Okay, real quick, because we're running out of time. Is there an age limit where kids need to have one?
Yes, and that law has changed this year. Any child under the age of 13, that means 12 and down, must be wearing a Coast Guard approved PFD that's appropriate to their size while a vessel is moving or underway.
There you go.
Once the vessel is stopped, if mom and dad says they can take it off, then they can take it off.
There you go. But again, safety first. They are life-saving. Yes, they're a little big and bulky, but when it comes down to saving someone's life, if you are to capsize or go overboard, definitely worth having. Back to you guys in the studio. Thanks so much, Chris. We are live here in the Fox 31 parking lot only because we could not get enough lighting out on the waterways quite this early. But Scott, we're talking all about boating safety in general out on the water, and perhaps people were out on the water this weekend. Perhaps they're going to be out all summer long. We want to make sure that they're safe, and unfortunately, when it comes to holiday weekends and getting out there and having fun, alcohol is a big part of it.
Yeah, and that's one of the most recent important changes that we've had in our laws this year is the BAC limits have changed on the waterways. They've dropped from a .10 to a .08. And everybody always asks us, anytime they see us, hey, can we have alcohol on board our vessel? Is there open container laws on the vessels as there are on the highways? Sure. And anybody can drink and consume alcohol on a vessel as long as the operator is not under the influence. So there is no open container law as there is on the highways. People can't consume alcohol as long as the operator is not under the influence of that alcohol. And there's several contributing factors that go along with that. Sure. Even though our BAC limits have changed from .10 to a .08, That does not mean that an operator can't be charged for lower than that limit. Somebody can be charged for operating under the influence if their BAC is even lower than 0.08 due to other contributing factors. They can be charged as what we call a less safe manner.
And that's kind of similar to driving, correct?
It is a lot similar to driving. There's a lot of conditions that go along with once you consume alcohol. It's different it's different in the way that it affects you on the roadways or say at a restaurant or at a bar or something like that, because your body is not being exposed to the environmental conditions.
Yes.
On the waterways, you have the sun, you have the wind, you have waves, you have activities such as skiing, swimming. Just controlling a boat under high rates of speed can take a lot out of a person holding them in there. So environmental conditions play a lot into wearing out a person's physical abilities, tiring that person down, and then when you add alcohol, which is a depressant, into the body, it even contributes more to that environment and that hard ability to maintain that vehicle safely.
Now, of course, when it comes to BAC, it all kind of depends on the person. Height, weight, all of those different factors contribute to how many beers or different types of drinks that BAC is. But why did you guys decide to lower it?
Well, we've had in the past couple of years, we've had some very unfortunate accidents in which a lot of times alcohol is involved. We've had some incidents where some young children have lost their lives on lakes up in the North Georgia areas, up around Atlanta, Lake Lanier, places like that. And we've had some accidents where like I said, some young children have lost their lives due to alcohol and other vessels that were involved in those accidents. So the state legislature got on board, the governor got on board with it, and they decided to drop those limits and try to crack down on some of this drunk driving on the waterways.
Absolutely. I can get out there, have fun, but be safe at the same time. Well, we appreciate you sharing some tips with us. Unfortunately, again, we weren't out on the water this morning, but that doesn't mean we won't be out all summer long, and perhaps that's the same kind of case for you. Keeping you safe out there. Kelly, on over to you.